Alright guys, it's time for another installment on the 5-inch Punisher build. Welcome back to Rocket Vlogs. Thank you guys for tuning in. In this video I'm going to teach you guys how to take your external fillets from looking like this to looking like this. Now it is a lot of extra effort that a lot of people skip doing, and depending on how your fillets came out in the first place, it can take a little more or a little less effort. It's really all just comes down to sanding and filler and everything, and I'll show you guys what supplies I use and everything and my whole process. But first, let me just say thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try and do a few extra videos in December just so you guys have a little more to chew on while I situate what we need to do next. I need to get my 7.5-inch Iris ready to fly at LDRS next year. It's still got a few odds and ends that needs to go. And that's a fun rocket to showcase because it's so big. It's 12 feet tall. It'll probably weigh 100-something pounds on the pad with the end motor in it. It's a big burly rocket. But yeah, my dad and I have a couple projects that we want to get started on this winter. A couple projects we want to get finished on this winter. My 6-inch Red Max. We got the 7.5-inch Lock Precision Saturn V. That's one of the more expensive rockets I've ever bought, but could not miss the opportunity to have it because I'm a giant Apollo and space travel nerd. At any rate, if you guys want to help support the channel, you can go to rocketvlogs.com, and I have a bunch of rocket themed t-shirts that you can get on Teespring, and I also have an Amazon link. You can get them through Amazon merch, which is Prime delivery. So if you wanted to get one for your rocket friends or spouse or whatever for Christmas, they should be there in time from either retailer if you order them ASAP. But you can also, through Teespring, you can get it on phone cases, sweatshirts, hoodies, you know, stuff like that. There's all kinds of things, but I would really appreciate it, and every dollar generated from that outlet is going to go straight back into making rocket videos for you guys. So let's talk about sand and fillets. Alright, I got my coveralls on because it's going to get dusty. So the first step to crafting your fillets into what you want them to be is to work with what you've got. We're going to shape them as best I can using 80 grit sandpaper for a start, and then we'll smooth it out with a little bit finer one. And then I'm going to show you guys how I fill them and make them smooth and all that. My whole process, it requires several coats of primer and several uses of filler. But I'm going to throw my mask on and we'll just get started. Now, I don't want to jinx myself or anything, but right off the bat, these seem like they're going to be a lot less problematic than fillets I've dealt with in the past, because the way they went on was pretty decent. I actually think I might throw this on the table. We'll go about it that way. Be prepared to go through a lot of sandpaper, especially on bigger rockets. I wonder, this stuff might be a little too aggressive to wrap around our filleting socket, but we can give it a shot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get in there by hand, but that's not a bad technique to start with. I'll do that on the next one. One of the things I choose to obsess over with fillets for some reason, even though I'm not like some sort of altitude junkie, is the leading and trailing edge shape. I just always want it to be like exactly perfect for some reason. So if I'm ever at a launch with you, please don't look at those too close, because even if they look really good to you, I'm still going to be like, I could have done better. Alright. I know the lighting in here isn't all that great, But there you go, that's what we got so far. Really smooth, really good shape. So I'm just gonna sand the rest of these and I'll get back to you. All right, quick little update. I got this side done. They're both really smooth and really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the other sides, and then I'm gonna show you guys the step that a lot of people would not take the time to do. Not saying it's a problem if you don't. It's just something I'm really meticulous about, and it works out really well. So let me sand these and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, we're almost done here. I'm just kind of refining the edges a little bit. I just took the mask off so I could talk to you guys. I highly recommend wearing rubber gloves, as I've just discovered. I won't show it to you guys on camera, but like the skin right where my fingernail is got caught on the sandpaper, so when I pushed it forward, it just ripped a bunch of skin off my finger. And it was kind of gnarly looking, but it's not too bad. So I'm just gonna finish shaping these out. And then I'm going to sand the rest of the body tube and the fins, everything around where we'll be painting the fin can. And then we'll get all the dust off. And I'll show you guys my my secret step, because the next logical thing to do is prime it and see what spots you need to fill. But I take a preemptive step before we do that. So I'm going to do that, then super glue my finger back together, and then we'll be on our merry way. Alright, real quick, let me magical transport you guys outside. Alright, so you guys can see they're really smoothed out, the shape's pretty good. See if you can get a decent look at the front there. That's the smaller set right there, they're only a little bit smaller, but super evident to me, but probably not to anyone else. But yeah, so now we'll go back inside and I'll show you guys what I do that a lot of people don't. Also, if you're curious as to exactly how much sandpaper I used, a lot. I'm going to hang on to this because that's wet sandpaper. I can just wash it out. But all this stuff's super dull now, so I'm going to hang on to one piece of it. That'll do. But I'm just going to throw the rest of this away. Here's a great tip for cleaning up fiberglass dust, or really any dust. Wet paper towel. That way you don't blow it all over the place. Picks the majority of it up. Like I said, the logical next step is to spray it with primer and see where we need filler. But I kind of go straight to the filler first. And what I do, you can look closely at your fillets, and shiny spots are an easy telltale of spots that you miss or that are lower because there's still epoxy there. But the way I do it is a little different. I just basically create a whole new set of fillets on top of the fillets using Bondo spot putty. Now, those of you familiar with body filler in the automotive world are going to warn me not to use that much because it sands pretty difficult. This is spot putty. It sands about 100 times easier than regular Bondo body filler. And then those familiar with spot putty are going to probably warn me that it cracks very easily, but don't worry, about 95% of it's going to get sanded away. We're just creating a blank, a coverall basically, to take care of any issues we have preemptively. We're going to sand it all down so you basically can't see any anymore, and it's only going to be there filling the spots that needed filled, and then we spray primer, and then we fill again. So I actually have two different colors of primer. I got gray and white because I like to transition between the two so I can really see what's going on. Now, usually I do a lot of coats and a lot of sanding, but these ones don't seem like they're going to take nearly as much as my fillets usually do. So hopefully that's the case, and that will be a lot nicer. But I also, somewhere in there, will usually spray a coat of a colored paint just to get an idea of what it's going to look like with a gloss reflective finish, because that puts a lot of stuff in perspective. They're still on those rockets that I showed you my fillets to describe what they're going to look like. There's still little spots on there and little nitpicky issues that I have with them that really you almost can't even tell they're there once there's 5-6 coats of paint on it and clear coat on top of that. But I still see them. You probably wouldn't. It's just a personal thing. I'm gonna go get a couple plastic spoons and show you guys how I do my fillets. Also, just a heads up on this body filler. At like AutoZone and Lowe's and stuff, it's like $8, but at Walmart, this exact tube is $3.17. So, use that info to your advantage. So this is what I do. I just kind of run a line of it down that. And take a plastic spoon and just like our fillets, this stuff dries pretty quick. Sorry, sticking to this paper towel. That's why I kind of try to like to use, what I should do is run the line down each one and then hit it back to back with the spoons. But I was a little light in the front on that one, so I'm not gonna lie, I panicked a little bit. So this one is going to be great because this is the set I was telling you about that came out a good bit thinner. So you can see a couple of the holes from injecting fillets are still not full. So hopefully these will get up there and fill those holes. Oh, of course, don't be like me and touch the one you made last. But that's the nice part about this stuff, is it like you got a little bit of time. Obviously, if you can just make the one pass before it starts drying, it's going to be a lot nicer. And let me grab a tongue depressor. We'll just do a couple little touch-up spots on that one, where we definitely want these holes filled. I don't know how well you guys can see that one on camera, but oh, there's a little bit of fiberglass dust in that one. There we go. And then I like to make sure I've got enough on these leading edges, because there's always little pinholes in here and spots where the epoxy didn't quite get where we needed it to. So now this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because obviously we don't want to set them down in the box so that it's going to ruin our fillet. So what I might actually do is just cut another slot next to that fin slot that's only like an inch or so deep, maybe 2 inches. Set it down without the fin going all the way in. There we go. Good. Grab our spoon. Basically just follow the same formula as shaping the fillets as we did with epoxy. Drag it around these edges so it'll fill everything nicely. Luckily the other sets, I didn't have the issue with the whatchamacallit's not getting filled. I can see a couple spots where there's probably still going to be pinholes after we do this, but like I said, this is just taking care of the majority of it. We'll sand this, we'll prime it, we'll let the primer dry, and then we'll come back and fill more pinholes. This step may actually be unnecessary on these ones, because like I said, they did come out really smooth right out of the tin. But I gotta follow my traditions. Also, if anyone's curious as to why I have those coveralls, if you're a rocket person and you're here from the Rocketry Forum or wherever, or you're one of the subscribers I picked up after my LDRS videos got a bunch of views, and you happen to be into cars, I am also into cars, and I have a YouTube channel where we build those. I'll put the link in the description. It's just my name, Braden Carlson. Fair warning though, some of those videos are when I was just a stupid kid, so it doesn't have nearly the family-friendly type vibes as this channel. I won't even lie, it's still, even the videos I put out to this day on that channel are not nearly as family friendly. Pretty adventure. So we're gonna let those dry, probably give it about an hour or so. They should be good to sand, and then we'll get those smoothed out. We'll throw our first coat of primer on it. I'll probably do the gray primer first so we can get an idea of what's going on, and really from there is when I'll be able to gauge how easy these ones are going to be to work with. But yeah, we'll bring you back when these are dry. Alright guys, the sandpaper fairy came. My dad was out of the store and I asked him to pick some up, so thanks Dad. This looks dry. I just did a couple test hits with the sandpaper to make sure it's dry all the way through. So I'm going to put my stuff back on, get the mask on, and time to start sanding. Alright, gloves on just because I don't want a bunch of Bondo dust in that cut on my finger. I mean, gloves are just kind of a good idea in general, to be honest. Alright, as much as I'm sure you guys love watching me sand, this is a lot closer to where we want to be. I think it must just be the temperature. It's not super warm in here. The garage is heated, but I don't think it's insulated very well. So the stuff's not drying very quickly. So basically what I'm having to do is sand off the dry layers until I hit wet spots again, and then let it chill out for a little bit. I might try putting a hairdryer on it, because it is polyester based, so I might be able to speed it up a little bit with some heat and air. And yeah, so I'm just gonna keep sanding, and I figured you guys probably don't have too much interest in just watching that over and over, but we'll give you a little more sanding action. Alright, let's see if I can kind of shed some light on what I'm talking about here. Actually, maybe if I come over here, you guys will be able to see it a little bit better if I don't shadow myself over it. All those little tiny dots that you're seeing right there, can't feel a single one of them. So that's what I do this step for. Just like in drag racing, the best finish will come from a good start. So I like to have it as smooth as I possibly can get it before an ounce of paint touches it. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the other sides and we'll throw some primer on it. All right, 6 hours of sanding and drying. I'm gonna wipe it off with some rubbing alcohol, let it dry, and we're gonna hit it with the first coat of the Great Gray Reveal All, so that I can be really happy with how smooth these are right now, and then just get pissed off when I see all the things that are still wrong with it with gray primer on it. That's the game we play. I'm gonna wipe it off. We'll go get this done. They do look pretty smooth though. Alright, I would take you guys out there to watch me paint it, but it's dark, so I'm just gonna go hit it. Obviously you shouldn't paint in the dark, but primer is a little bit different of a story. It's pretty hard to mess up primer even when it's dark and 24 degrees outside. Just gonna open the back door up, go hit it, just the fin can section. We'll bring it in, take a look. All right, my camera is completely covered in dust, almost dead. It's almost 7 hours from when I started making this video. But these look pretty dang good. I don't know how well it's gonna show up on camera, but the shape is super, super good. They're really smooth. It's primer, so it's probably touchable already. Yeah. So there's some scratch marks, and I don't know how well you guys can see the discoloration. There's a bunch of dots there. They look like something you'd feel, but you can't. That's just from the red markings from the filler being on white. So it's a little bit darker where there's obvious filler. I have a couple spots I want to touch up, like these guys right here, but a lot of times what I would end up doing, I got a leaf stuck to it. It's alright, it's gonna get sanded. A lot of times what I would end up doing is basically sanding it all right back down to the epoxy and smoothing it all out again, a bunch of different filler, but because it went down so smooth, I think what I'm gonna do instead is do another coat of primer after this dries, and then we'll let that, I'll wet sand that. Actually, maybe I'll do another coat, well, not with that. Maybe I'll just leave this one coat of primer actually, and then we'll wet sand it with like some 600, see how that wants to fill out when we do another coat of primer, and then I'll put a color on it to see what we're working with. These might even be okay with, I don't know, there's a couple spots that'll bother me, but I guess I'll just play it by eye. I don't know. Yeah, definitely put some filler on that one, but just clean things up a little bit. There's a big nick in this fin. I don't know where that came from, but I'll probably fill that. But yeah, otherwise, these fillets came out really, really good. We got a very good foundation. So we're just gonna go from here. I'll wet sand them, prime it again. We'll throw whatever colors are up there on it, just a coat of gloss color to see what we're looking like. And then I will show you guys how I paint my rockets and how I finish them. And I'll reveal the color that I've chosen for this thing. It's pretty cool. It's all rattle can paint, but it's not a color that's super easy to find, so I'm kind of on a quest at the moment. Here's the beautiful thing about high power rockets is your fillets can be as perfect or imperfect as you want them to be. I have flown plenty of rockets that don't have beautiful fillets on them. It's just kind of a newly found fascination of mine. But I mean, I have rockets that have 5-minute epoxy fillets that are plywood and cardboard. My big iris fillets are not very pretty. There's plenty of stuff I have that's not super great. My level 2 rocket, the fillets are just okay. And that's fine if you don't want to go through the process of sanding and filling for 6-7 hours just so they look really good, because you have to accept, just like with my Punisher, my 4-inch Punisher, it's going to get damaged. The paint's going to get ruined because you're flying it. It's a rocket. It goes Mach and then comes out of the sky with a parachute from 15,000 feet. Sometimes without a parachute. You never know. But at least it'll look good the first time, right? So just build your rocket to the extent that you want to. If you want to use this as a guide on how to make your fillets relentlessly good, that's cool. I really like seeing it. But I mean, you can even just sand them, no filler, prime it, sand the primer, do a few coats. It's going to be smooth enough. I just really became obsessed with them looking. I like to have the leading edges and everything just shaped really equally. It's just a personal thing. But thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to check out rocketvlogs.com. All the merch. If you want to order something for your Rocket family members or significant others for Christmas, you should do it soon. Otherwise, it's not going to arrive in time. And if you aren't subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. It's free. turn the notifications on. You'll get an alert every time I post a video. And we'll see you guys next time.